When it comes to making an athlete more explosive, we always want to have principles in place that are going to allow that to occur. Don't get me wrong. I definitely understand exercise selection, sets, reps, intention towards those exercises. Everything of like that is going to play into the situation. I also like to layer in more things that have to do with function though. Okay, so right here I have the 10 commandments of function. And these are 10 things that I like to think about whenever it comes to layering in specific exercises. If we have someone where the athlete's breathing mechanics are off, well, obviously they're not going to be able to develop as much power as they possibly can, because it's going to have upstream and downstream effects whenever it comes to that. Motor control of the pelvis and lumbar spine, those are things that are also going to affect how much power output is allowed, right? If we look at the pelvis in certain ways, now I'm not all against an anterior pelvic tilt like a lot is, but if the function of it or the motor control of it is off, that is something that I'm going to address. Now, on top of that, we also want to think about the lumbar spine, because that's another part that is, it's definitely synchronized with the pelvis in a lot of ways, right? Especially with the hip flexor, stuff of that nature. We want to make sure that it's in a good situation. I'm not all against an anterior pelvic tilt. Again, I understand that we can look at an SMAS score, things of that nature. That's going to affect, injury risks in certain ways, but we're still learning a lot about that front, so there's more to it than what meets the eye. Now, from there, if we need to adjust stiffness in those areas and it's not just a motor control thing and it's more of a structure thing, then we want to think about that as well, because that's going to affect the function. Structure and function is a cycle and it goes back and forth. Then from here, we want to think about re-educating flexion extension of the spine if we need to. If they're already performing in the proper way and whatnot, I like to think of a top-down approach mostly. Next, I want to think about, does the T-spine twist and bend? If it doesn't do that, I understand that proximal stability creates distal mobility and that we do need to be able to allow stiffness in that area. That's why stiffness comes first, right? But then from there, it also needs to bend and twist and do these other things. That's going to help with the spinal engine mechanics and things of that nature, right? Now, as we do T-spine twisting and then as well as bending and whatnot, then we want to incorporate the rest of the rib cage. These are all just things to think about as you are trying to increase someone's power output, because if we're missing this portion of it, then we can sit here and we can dial in technique, we can dial in all of these different things, but stability is context dependent. And so whenever it's an athlete, they are being asked to perform a bunch of different tasks. So stability is different per task, right? These are things that are going to help increase that power. If we need to be more direct with things, then we're going to do that. But if we can be more systemic, then that's also going to be a route. Again, top down more so than down up, right? Then as we increase all the dynamic stability of the ribs, that's the spine, all the above, right? Because I'm thinking of a proximal to distal approach. Then we can go ahead and move on into connecting the hands and the feet with the core. Whatever you believe the core is, that's fine. Then after we do that, then we want to build capacity, and then we want to add more chaos or variability, so that way they're able to perform tasks with a bandwidth of strength. This is the function of it. From function, then next is force. Okay, now obviously I believe in more of a skyscraper or just a concurrent model, so it's not like we're taking out any of those force exercises or anything like that. It's just more so that we can also think about the function while we're still developing force, right?